What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my fantasy football starts and sits for NFL Week 12.
Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over every position and give you my 2019 fantasy football starts and sits for NFL Week 12. This should help you decide who you want to start in your season-long fantasy football leagues. And we will show you how to use the Draft Dashboard tools to make better fantasy football picks. You can find waiver wire targets, get player point projections, find the best positional matchups to see who is projected to score the most fantasy points this week. These tools will help you decide what players to start in your fantasy football lineups. We have it all right here, so let's get into it. Before we get started, I have a special announcement for everyone who wants to try Draft Dashboard. The DFS tools you see on the screen here. We have a totally free 1-week trial linked in the description below. No credit card needed to start the trial. It's a totally free 1-week pass to try all our daily fantasy tools for yourself. No strings attached. Click the link in the description of this video to get started. Okay, NFL Week 12. I'm gonna start Baker Mayfield from the Cleveland Browns playing the Miami Dolphins, who have the third worst defense overall, and they give up the fourth most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield has averaged 14.8 fantasy points per game on the season, but take a look at his last three. He scored 17, 18, and then 22 fantasy points last week, projected at 16 fantasy points here in Week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 44 points scored in this game, and they have the Cleveland Browns favored by 10.5. This is a home game, a fantastic matchup. Baker Mayfield has been heating up, so I'm going to start Baker Mayfield here versus the Miami Dolphins. And then I'm going to sit Tom Brady from the New England Patriots playing the Dallas Cowboys, who've got the 8th best defense overall and give up the 9th fewest fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Tom Brady is averaging 17.7 fantasy points per game on the season. He's only scored 9, 14, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. Projected at 19.3 fantasy points here in Week 12. I think he has another bad week, and I would start another quarterback if you're able to. If you're really desperate, you could play Tom Brady, but he's got a tough matchup in a game that Vegas thinks there's going to be 46 points scored in this game, and they have the Patriots favored by 6.5. It's a home game for Tom Brady, so that's something to keep in mind, but he doesn't have the upside like he used to, and he's got a low floor. So I think there's a lot of better options to start at quarterback this week, so I'm going to sit Tom Brady here versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And then we'll send you $100 PayPal.
So it's that easy?
And we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video.
So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, NFL Week 12. We're looking at the running back position. I'm going to start Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've got a pretty good defense overall, but Joe Mixon is starting to come to form now. He scored 16, 16, and 17 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. He's had 45 rush attempts and 6 pass targets over the last 2 weeks, so his usage rate has been skyrocketed. He's projected at 12.2 fantasy points here in Week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 39.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Bengals trailing by 6.5. This is a home game. Joe Mixon's getting a ton of carries. I think he's good to go for Week 12, so I'm going to start Joe Mixon here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I'm going to sit Sony Michel from the New England Patriots playing the Dallas Cowboys, who've got the 8th best defense overall and they're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs. Sony Michel has only averaged 9.7 fantasy points per game on the season. He's only scored 5, 4, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks, getting an average of 15.4 rush attempts per game and 1.5 pass targets per game. Only on the field for 38% of the snaps, projected at 9.6 fantasy points here in week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 46 points scored in this game. They have the Patriots favored by 6.5, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are wrong here. Dallas Cowboys have a good team, so I'm going to sit Sony Michel here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Okay guys, if you're getting any value from this video, please hit that red subscribe button. We put out new fantasy football videos every day. So if you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification, you won't miss out on any of our new fantasy football videos. Tons of free stuff coming your way. It only takes a second, and it helps us push out more fantasy football content for you guys to consume each and every day. It's because of you subscribers that make this possible. So thank you for supporting this channel. Okay, NFL Week 12, sit 'em, start 'em. We're looking at the wide receiver position. I'm going to start Jameson Crowder from the New York Jets playing the Oakland Raiders, who have the 5th worst defense overall, and they give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Jameson Crowder has averaged 10.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 7.3 pass attempts per game. He scored 18, 17, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. On the field for 78% of the snaps, he's one of Sam Darnold's favorite wide receivers. He loves throwing to the slot. That hasn't changed. Jameson Crowder's projected at 10.6 fantasy points here in week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 46.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Jets trailing by 3. This is a home game, a fantastic matchup. Jameson Crowder's been hot, so I'm going to start Jameson Crowder here versus the Oakland Raiders. Okay, who are we going to sit at the wide receiver position? I'm going to sit Nelson Agholor from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Seattle Seahawks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing wide receivers. Nelson Agholor has averaged 6.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.3 pass targets per game. The pass targets are there, but the fantasy production is not. Despite being on the field for 89% of the snaps, he's just not getting it done. Projected at 6.3 fantasy points here in week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 48 points scored in this game, and they have the Eagles favored by 2. This is a home game, but I don't trust Nelson Agholor when these wins are going to determine the playoff picture. So I'm going to sit Nelson Agholor here versus the Seattle Seahawks. And remember, you can try Draft Dashboard totally free. No credit card needed to try it out. This is a special limited time offer available right now. Just click the link in the description of this video and try Draft Dashboard and all these DFS tools totally free for 7 days. No strings attached. We are confident that you'll find something that you like about Draft Dashboard. If you try everything out for the full 7 days, go through every tool we have and give it a try. Totally free on us. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. I'm going to start Vance McDonald from the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the 4th worst defense overall, and they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Vance McDonald has averaged 6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.7 pass targets per game. But take a look at the last 3 games. He's got 7 pass targets in each of those games, 21 pass targets in the last 3 games. So they're getting this guy involved. He's on the field for 77% of the snaps, projected at 6.9 fantasy points here in week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 39.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Pittsburgh Steelers favored by 6.5. This is a great matchup. Tight end's a position it's tough to find a good one. It's not going to be the case every week, but I think you can start Vance McDonald here versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And then I'm going to sit TJ Hockenson from the Detroit Lions playing the Washington Redskins. The matchup is fine. The Redskins have the 9th worst defense overall. They're middle of the pack versus tight ends. But TJ Hockenson has only averaged 6 fantasy points per game on the season. He only scored 1 fantasy point off of 2 pass targets last game, getting 4.6 pass targets per game on the season. He's projected at 6.3 fantasy points here in week 12. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game, with the Detroit Lions favored by 3.5. So the matchup is fine. I just don't trust this guy to score double-digit fantasy points. The floor is super low. We haven't seen his upside since week 2. He seems to have been phased out of these big plays. So I'm going to sit TJ Hockenson here versus the Washington Redskins.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite
player for this NFL slate.
I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.
Don't forget, you can try Draft Dashboard for 7 days, totally free, no credit card required. Just use the link in the description of this video to get started. Do you want more fantasy football picks? Check out the video linked right in the middle of the screen. If you got any value from this video, please tap that subscribe button before you get out of here and ring that bell notification so you won't miss our daily fantasy football uploads. We're putting out new videos every day, so I don't want you guys to miss any of our free content.